Second Chronicles chapter 29. Hezekiah began to reign when he was 25 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abiah, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that David his father had done. He, in the first year of his reign, in the first month, opened the doors of the house of Jehovah and repaired them. And he brought in the priests and the Levites and gathered them together into the east street, and said unto them, Hear ye, hear me, ye Levites. Sanctify now yourselves, and sanctify the house of Jehovah, God of your fathers, and carry forth the filthiness out of the holy place. For our fathers had trespassed and done that which was evil in the eyes of Jehovah our God, and have forsaken him, and have turned away their faces from the habitation of Jehovah, and turned their backs. Also they have shut up the doors of the porch, and put out the lamps, and have not burnt incense, nor offered burnt offerings in the holy place unto Elohim, the God of Israel. Wherefore the wrath of Jehovah was upon Judah and Jerusalem, and he hath delivered them to terrible trouble, to astonishment, and to hissing, as ye see with your eyes. For lo, our fathers have fallen by the pardon me. For lo, our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and our daughters and our wives are in captivity for this. Now it is in mine heart to make a covenant with Jehovah, God of Israel, Elohim of Israel, that his fierce wrath may turn away from us. My sons, be not now negligent, for Jehovah hath chosen you to stand before him to serve him, and that ye should minister unto him and burn incense. Then the Levites arose, Mahath, the son of Amasiah, and Joel, the son of Azariah, of the sons of the Kohathites, and of the sons of the Merari, Kish, the son of Abdi, and Azariah, the son of Jehiel, Elel, and of the Gershonites, Joah, the son of Zimmah, and Eden, the son of Joah, and of the sons of Elizaphan, Shimri, and Jael, and of the sons of Asaph, Zechariah, and Mattaniah, and of the sons of Heman, Jehiel, and Shemiel, and of the sons of Jeduthun, Shemaiah, and Uzziel. And they gathered their brethren and sanctified themselves, and came according to the commandment of the king, by the words of Jehovah, to cleanse the house of Jehovah. And the priests went into the inner part of the house of Jehovah to cleanse it, and brought out all the uncleanness that they found in the temple of Jehovah, into the court of the house of Jehovah. And the Levites took it to carry it abroad into the brook Kidron. Now they began on the first day of the first month to sanctify, and on the 8th day of the month came they to the porch of Jehovah. So they sanctified the house of Jehovah in 8 days, and in the 16th day of the first month they made an end. Then they went into Hezekiah the king and said, We have cleansed all the house of Jehovah, and the altar of burnt offering with all the vessels thereof, and the showbread table with all the vessels thereof. Moreover, all the vessels which King Ahaz in his reign did cast away in his transgression have ye prepared and sanctified, and behold, they are before the altar of Jehovah. Then Hezekiah the king rose early, and gathered the rulers of the city, and went up to the house of Jehovah the Lord. And they brought 7 bullocks, and 7 rams, and 7 lambs, and 7 he goats, for a sin offering for the kingdom, and for the sanctuary, and for Judah. And he commanded the priests, the sons of Aaron, to offer them on the altar of Jehovah. So they killed the bullocks, and the priests received the blood and sprinkled it on the altar. Likewise, when they had killed the rams, they sprinkled the blood upon the altar. They killed also the lambs, and they sprinkled the blood upon the altar. And they brought forth the he goats for in the sin offering before the king and the congregation. They laid their hands upon them. And the priests killed them, and they made reconciliation with their blood upon the altar to make an atonement for all of Israel. For the king commanded that the burnt offering and the sin offering should be made for all Israel. And he sat the Levites in the house of the Lord Jehovah with cymbals and with psalteries and with the harps according to the commandment of David and of Gad the king's seer and Nathan the prophet. For so was the commandment of Jehovah by his prophets. And the Levites stood with the instruments of David, and the priests with the trumpets. And Hezekiah commanded them to offer the burnt offering upon the altar. And when the burnt offering began, the song of Jehovah the Lord began also with the trumpets and with the instruments ordained by David, king of Israel. And all the congregation worshipped, and the singers sang, and the trumpeter sounded. And all this continued until the burnt offering was finished. And when they had made an end of offering, the king and all that were present with him bowed themselves and worshipped. Moreover, Hezekiah the king and the princes commanded the Levites to sing praise unto the Lord Jehovah with the words of David and of Asaph the seer. And they sang praises with gladness, and they bowed their heads and worshipped. And Hezekiah answered and said, Now ye have consecrated yourselves unto Jehovah. Come near and bring sacrifices and thank offerings into the house of Jehovah. And the congregation brought in sacrifices and thank offerings, and as many as were a free heart burnt offerings. And the number of the burnt offerings which the congregation brought was 70 bullocks, and 100 rams, and 200 lambs. All these were for the burnt offering to Jehovah. And the consecrated things were 600 oxen and 3,000 sheep. But the priests were too few, so that they could not slay all the burnt offerings. Wherefore their brethren, the Levites, did help them till the work was ended, and until the other priests had sanctified themselves. For the Levites were more upright in heart to sanctify themselves than the priests. And also the burnt offerings were in abundance with the fat of the peace offering and the drink offering for every burnt offering. So the service of the house of Jehovah was set in order. And Hezekiah rejoiced, and all the people that Elohim had prepared the people for the king was done suddenly. And Hezekiah rejoiced, and all the people that Elohim had prepared the people for the thing was done suddenly. I thank you for viewing and paying attention here to 2 Chronicles chapter 29. And all of it was done suddenly. It was like God said, that's good, rejoice. It doesn't say it in the text, but it does say it. But Hezekiah rejoiced, and all the people rejoiced that God had prepared the people for the thing was done suddenly. He put him in a rejoicing mode, presence of mind. I think the mind is an amazing thing, but God is mightier than that, isn't he? What an interesting story. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Something a week prayer request. Be good one to another. It's evil enough for everybody out there. Bring some good if you can with you. To put out the fire of the dark side, the evil side, they say. Well, there's enough fierceness in this planet or plane, whichever you prefer. It's always been the same to me. The place where I dwell. And may God be with you. And whatever you do, He's going to know what you did. And you're going to have to stand for what you did. And remember, my friend, or my acquaintance, whatever you prefer, His word's eternal. We're not. At least in the flesh. The flesh is not. It's accounted once for a man to die. Of course, that's all it takes, once. Some of us have been resurrected more than once to keep going. Some of us are resurrected every morning, renewed, and we get up and we thank God for our existence. One more day. But whether it's here or up there, wherever His will is that we be, we take what we have at the time and use what we can to do what He wants us to do. And that's what I'm doing. May His blessings fill your heart with joy. His blessings are perfect, which is kind of hard to describe till you've experienced it. So I tell you the truth. Somebody asks me how I am, I tell them I'm blessed. And that's greater than the things of the world that could be happening. Just His presence, the knowledge of His words that still contain Him in them. And more than that, they still contain Him in us. God bless. Remember, the blood that cleanses us from all unrighteousness, was freely shed for us. Because he wants to make a way to bring us who were created under a fault can be restored, renewed, redeemed. Ta.